Hi, and welcome to And So Much More. I am Cami Smith, and I am your host, and I have the privilege of being here with all of you, but also with Mr. Ronald Tomlin, who has been a cancer patient over at the Pearson Cancer Center, and we have Leah Galatreau, who is radiation oncology RN. And they have shared such an incredible story together. And I get to hear it today for the first time, and you do as well. And so I do want to jump right in. Do you want me to call you Ronald or Mr. Tomlin? What are you most comfortable with? Ron. Okay. Ron. First, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to hearing your story. And I'm just so appreciative that you're willing to share that with us. So you had prostate cancer, but you were telling me your story starts long before that. So why don't you start at the beginning, and you can kind of tell us what your journey looked like.
Okay. I started with bladder cancer, and initially they removed the tumor in my bladder, and I was fortunate it wasn't attached.
Okay.
And so I went, I had to go back for routine checkups, and nothing redeveloped, and that was in 2014. Then in 2018, when I had my checkup, I had a reoccurrence of the bladder cancer, and he went in and removed that and recommended that I go for the BCG treatments, I believe that's what it's called, where they inject a fluid in my bladder, and you maintain it in the bladder for a couple hours and release it. And I had 6 weeks of that. And I did that here at Seven Hills Urology, and they were super as well.
Yeah.
So he got all that out, and that's still steady as of today. It hasn't returned. But during that, my PSA levels from the prostate kept increasing. They started in the recommended is 0.4 or 4.
Okay.
And they had reached 11. And in March of 23, the middle of March when I had my checkup, my levels had increased to 21. And my primary care doctor, again, recommended that I do another biopsy.
Okay.
And at that point, the 31st of March, they identified that I did have a low-risk prostate cancer.
Okay.
And he discussed the different options of using radiation treatment, low-dose radiation treatment, or implanting radiation seeds into the prostate, or having the prostate removed.
So when you went back in, having already had an experience with cancer at this point, when you went back in and you had that appointment, I think you said you were headed in to see Dr. O'Neill. That is when you and Leah were connected.
Right.
Okay. So this was round 2 for you, almost round 3.
Well, basically round 3.
Round 3.
For cancer itself.
Yeah. So, I mean, what was that like?
It was kind of scary.
Yeah.
And it was kind of intimidating because your prostate has to do with your intimacy and all that.
Yeah.
And my wife. My wife was there every step of the way at the beginning. And we both went in to see Dr. O'Neill. Well, my first visit, I went in alone. And that's when I met Leah. And we kind of joked about it. And I guess that's why that they encouraged me to do this.
Yeah.
But so we go in and meet with Dr. Well, I meet with Dr. O'Neill, and he goes over some of the information, and they pretty much my wife and I had already predetermined that we were going to do the radiation versus doing the seeds, but we got the information, and at that point, Leah was taking me back to where they make the mold for your body, and she asked me if that was my wife or my girlfriend.
Aww.
Yeah.
and I had to say, it's both. She's my wife and she's my girlfriend.
And girlfriend.
Yeah. But so then I go back. She takes me back and shows me where I'll be checking in and changing if I needed to change clothes and stuff. They have a separate room for that. And then Lori and Dylan that were in the mold room, I guess you call it.
It's called
a
CT simulation where they come and get all the information they need to do the planning for the radiation.
Okay.
And when you go in there, they take this beanbag, big plastic beanbag, and you lay on the table, and they get you positioned.
Okay.
And they make X's on your thighs.
Okay.
To get you lined up for the laser.
Oh, wow.
And so that you can be in the same position for each treatment. They want you exactly as you were when they line you up. So once they get you lined up and the laser makes their points, then they inject a under the skin tattoo. So that each time you go in, they'll position you just right so that the laser in the radiation chamber hits you where they want it to.
Okay.
Where it want
So
to
was
hit
this
your
your first
system.
tattoo?
Yes. Yes. And the good part of it is, the X's were permanent ink, but they washed off over time.
There you go.
But the tattoos are not visible, so I never got to see the tattoos, but they're under the skin, but they stay there.
Okay.
But anyway, like I say, they get you all lined up, and once they mold that beanbag, then each time you go in for your treatment in the radiation room, you lay on the table and you position yourself in the beanbag, and then they shift you up or down until the laser hits the exact points.
Yeah, so detailed and so intricate. Yeah. It's incredible.
I mean, and it was unreal. And and every day, I have to mention Lauren, Lauren, Robin, Michelle, Alyssa, and Abby. They were the ones that would, on a rotating basis, that would do my get me lined up on a table and do treatments. We also had a couple of student nurses come in from, I guess they were from the hospital school of nursing.
Yeah.
But anyway, they were all super. And then on occasion, Lori and Dylan would come back, if it was between times when they were scheduled off or whatever, but they would come back in and they would actually set me up on a table.
Okay.
And so it was an every team member deal. And then, like I say, I would go in and I would get positioned, and then they would say, okay, we'll be back. They turn the lights down, and the machine or the radiation injector or whatever, I guess that's what it's called. But anyway, it starts out and you're laying there and you stay straight and it goes around you and you can't move or anything. So you watch it with your eyes, you go around. They have this pretty little design on the ceiling that looks like outside, but anyway.
Oh, that's very cool.
Such
an interesting experience,
And once it'll go around, and then it stops and it whirs a little bit, and then it takes off again, and it goes back around the other way.
Okay.
And rotates you. And again, the radiation is hitting the area.
Those two. Okay.
Well, it's that's
it's
just for
going all
lining you
around,
up.
yeah.
It's actually going all the way around.
Wow.
And so, in the process, to finish getting ready for that, after you get your mold, they recommend, and you don't have to do it, they recommend getting what is called a spacer.
Okay.
And that's put between the lining of your rectum and the prostate.
Okay.
And it helps prevent the radiation from drying your colon area out.
Okay.
And the rest of your lining around your rectum. So it's supposed to help prevent you having issues.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
With the radiation, and I think it worked really well.
Mm-hmm.
The first week I had no side effects at all from the radiation, and I had no pain or anything.
Yeah.
The second week, I go in, and I have a little bit of issues with constipation, and I was able to correct that with just stool softener.
Yeah. Is that pretty common for the experience?
Yeah.
We do have a lot of patients that have some experiences with diarrhea.
Okay.
Like I say, now I never had the issue with diarrhea. I did have it with the light constipation, and after the second week, that pretty much went away. The worst part of the side effects was into the third week, and every time you have to urinate, it was like lots of needles sticking in you and saying, "Oh my gosh!" But you have to do it.
Yeah.
And in some cases, they said that the side effect was you wouldn't be able to urinate. You feel like you have to go, but you couldn't.
You can. Okay.
And they didn't want you forcing that at all. But personally, I didn't have that issue. I always had to go when I could go. It just hurt like crazy to go. But then like I say, and that lasted throughout the end of the radiation treatments.
So I want to hear about, you remembered everyone's name. I have so much trouble with names, but you are clearly a details person. But the fact that you remembered everyone's name, what was that like relationally?
Oh, it was awesome. And I haven't mentioned Laura and Sarah up front yet, but at the end of the first week, my wife had been going with me every day, and she would say, "We're going on a journey," and then on the way home, she'd say, "We completed another one, yay!" And she was so happy, and but she was everything anyway. But that Friday night, I said, "Love you. I'll see you in the morning. And if you need anything, call me." And then I said, "We don't have to get up in the morning. We can sleep in." And I thought I was letting her sleep in, but she didn't wake up. And that was horrible. Probably the worst day of my life. But so when I came in for my treatment on Monday, Leah just happened to walk by me. She asked me how I was doing, and that was horrible. But it was super nice, and she was just right there, and she was for the whole time. She was just right there for me.
It felt horrible.
Yeah.
You came to treatment after all that.
Well, my wife would beat my I didn't. Oh, I couldn't. Guess I couldn't say that on the air, but anyway, she would be right there. You know, you got to take care of yourself, and she took care of me big time. But so
this team really came around to you.
all of them. Laura, Sarah, Chad, their helper in the outer area, but I would see them on Wednesdays. But I always tried to make a point of stopping by and seeing them, especially daily, because they were all just, they just took care of me big time.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, right into the second week of my treatment, or coming into the third week, my mom passed away.
Oh my goodness.
And that one was expected, so it wasn't as hard. But yeah, and then a couple times when I went in for my treatments, Lauren wouldn't be there. She had other appointments, and she actually called after she got out of her appointment. She actually called me at home and checked up on me at home.
Oh.
So, can you imagine? It's just, they're just so family.
They stepped right in, yeah.
And it was awesome. And another little incident that happened, I was talking to one of my neighbors, and I got bit by a dog in the back of my leg.
Oh, goodness.
And when I went in,
Forgot about that.
when I went in
awful.
when I went in for my treatment that day, I had taped a napkin on the back of my leg to keep from getting blood on my clothes, because it was, you know, it would break loose and bleed a little bit. So I had taped a napkin on with Scotch tape.
Oh my goodness.
We got them fixed up.
Good.
And
Good.
Laura ran in the little room, and she got me gauze bandages. She got me zinc to put on the open wound, and wound cleaner. It was just like my baby. She took care of me, and you know, everybody was just, every one of them. I mean, every one of them were so helpful.
Yeah.
But and like I say, I would see Dr. O'Neill on Wednesdays. Well, the first couple of weeks he was on vacation, so then I would see Dr. Brady, and it was just like I was her patient as well.
Yeah.
She was right there, and always tried to find out if I had any issues that were either common or uncommon. And like I say, the only issue that I really had was the painful urination, and all in all. And then once I had 28 treatments, and that was 5 days a week. And one of my cousins, it was actually my wife's cousin's husband, but cousin through marriage. But anyway, he was going through radiation treatment, and I didn't know it until I got on my schedule, and I was actually coming in right behind him. He was the one in front of me.
Yeah.
And so we got to discuss it back and forth, and we keep check on each other that way.
That's so good.
And after I completed my treatment, and I went back to see Dr. Stans, he's my urologist now. And when he told me that my PSA was 0.02, I just couldn't believe it. And I said,
that felt so good.
Wow, that is amazing.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, are you sure these numbers are right? Because it was up to 21. And he said, no, that's right.
Oh my goodness. Well, you've experienced so much in a very short amount of time. And to just hear how there were people around you at the right time to just be there.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I feel like it's such a gift.
Like I say, it's my kids were actually surprised that I was remembering everybody's names and all.
Oh.
And it's, well, they're family, you know, they're my family now. And again, I couldn't have asked for a more outstanding group.
Yeah.
Like I say, every one of them.
This was very brave of you to come and allow us to step in to this with you. Thank you.
I'm happy to do it now that I've done it.
And Leah, thank you. I know that you just wanted to come and continue to be a support, which is just a picture of, I'm sure, both of your relationship and your experience thus far. So thank you for being here as well.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And I wanted to...
That actually shocked me when I see her at the door. Wow. That is awesome. I really appreciate it.
Support for you.
Oh, that's so good. And thank you all for joining us. I hope this is just a glimpse into the other side of a journey, if this is something you're experiencing or someone that you love is experiencing. And it can just bring some hope and some encouragement. And I hope you'll join us next time on And So Much More.